Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Authentic and the Beard. I don't know about this whole best television show on TV thing anymore, but shout out to my dog Timmy Foosball one time, man. I know he's in the building representing for our New York Giants one time. We got a jam-packed slate this week, y'all. Another rivalry within the division. The New York Giants are going to be taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. That kind of worries me a little bit. You got the Commanders traveling to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Cowboys get a chance at a bit of a redemption for the New York Giants, who squandered that victory against the Denver Broncos last week. They get to take on the Broncos this week. And Thursday Night Football on Prime, Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers. Should be a very interesting week of football. We're right here at about the halfway point of the season already, and it's flying by, man. I feel like we were just talking draft talk like just a couple of days ago, but here we are, and our New York Giants and the Beards, Washington Commanders, in a tricky spot going into Week 8. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what the Beard has to say about his matchup this week and also about just their positioning within the best division in football. So without further ado, let me bring in the best co-host in the country, my brother from another mother. Big shout out to my Dukes one time. Beard is in the building. How you feeling about that loss last week, man? I did pick the Dallas Cowboys to beat your Washington Commanders. Thought that their offense striding the way that it has been was going to be the difference. How'd you feel about that matchup and also losing your quarterback?
I felt horrible. I felt awful. I wanted to put up a poll because, obviously I have a lot of New York Giants followers on my Twitter, and it's a lot of Commanders. I wanted to put up a poll that said, which fan base suffered a more devastating loss?
Oh, I got to go with us. I mean, I think y'all's meant more, right? Like, because you guys are supposed to truly be in the mix, but
exactly.
Man.
It's kind of like an interesting, conversation, because it's two completely different types of losses, but and that's why I used the word suffered and devastating, because they both were like just horrible losses to suffer in different ways, and both devastating because it put the Commanders under 500. It really, kind of killed the momentum that you guys have been building over the last couple of weeks to lose like that. So it was tough. And then obviously like Jaden going down, and just it's so difficult for me to watch this team right now, because the difference between last year and this year is the things that they did really well last year, they can't find a way to do. And it's not like they're playing really bad football to a certain extent, right? Like defensively, they're obviously struggling. And shout out to the Dallas Cowboys fans, because I was giving you guys shit about the Dallas Cowboys defense being so bad. And here's Washington, hold my beer, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I say this, I feel like for the last, 3-4 weeks, is they're just consistently inconsistent. And if you look at the numbers, it's not like they're not scoring points. Their run defense had been good up until the last 2 weeks. And, they're right in the middle of the pack of everything. They're a 500 football team right now. And it hurts because we had Super Bowl aspirations. But I think, the injuries adding up, like losing both your starting defensive ends in the NFL in 2025 it's hard to rebound from.
Oh,
right?
yeah, most definitely.
And then as good as Mariota has been, he came in and threw that god-awful pick six. The turnovers, and this is a bunch of stuff we'll talk about today, but you look at the San Francisco 49ers, they're 5-2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with all of those
first
injuries.
In the division. Yep.
So I don't want to use that as an excuse or as a crutch, but it's just the way that this roster is built, it's not built for injuries, right? And especially injuries at key positions. And it's tough. It's just, that's the NFL. That's part of the game. And I'm not a quitter. There's a lot of quitting going on in Washington, D.C. People talking about shut down Jaden Daniels for the year. I'm like, what are we doing here? We're 3-4. Like, what?
Overreacting.
It's tough. So it's been rough, and losing to the Cowboys in that fashion. We had played well against the Cowboys since the new regime. So it was tough, but it's not like I didn't foresee that possibility coming. I didn't foresee Jaden Daniels getting hurt with the hamstring. I'm just glad it was a very. He probably could have played this week, but they're being
they
safe.
said they're being safe on it and whatnot. But
I
mean, I think at this point in the season, if he really truly could have played, like all that stuff sounds good, right? But I think if he truly could have played, he'd be out there playing, because right now a lot of people have said that the NFC East is wide open. But in my opinion, the Eagles are still the front runner.
Yeah.
And this week in particular could really, give them that head start that they truly need to really finish out in the back half of the season. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about it, like how this happens every year. Everyone gets in a panic mode when the Philadelphia Eagles lose a couple of games early on in the season. I already saw a bunch of Giants content creators and a bunch of Giants fans already saying, oh, put a fork in them, they're done, da-da-da-da, this ain't the same Eagles team, blah, blah, blah. And then they go out here last week and bounce back in a major way against the Minnesota Vikings. So for me, I don't look at the division as open as everybody else kind of sees it. Eagles at 5-2. The Cowboys sitting in second place right now at 3-3-1, a true 500 team. Commanders one game under 500 at 3-4, and the New York Giants at 2-5. So if we want to see this division be as wide open as most fan bases across this division are claiming it to be, I think the Giants absolutely need to win this week, and the Commanders absolutely got to find a way to win this week without their quarterback on the field. And we're going to talk about it, but a lot of injuries are piling up right now for the Washington Commanders. But I do want to start with the New York Giants here one time, who are going to be traveling to Philly to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And I just kind of want to give you guys a reminder. We switched something up here a little bit for the intro this week for the game. And I just want to take y'all back real quick to week 6 one time. Just imagine if Jackson Dart and Brian Dable could go out there and compete against the Philadelphia Eagles and having that opportunity to put the rookie out there against the team that is known as the juggernaut in our division. And not only did he play well, he went out there and beat their asses.
Ain't a dollar sign tag on 2 pieces of my jack. We can take a loss, we gon' get it right back. We can take a loss, we gon' get it right. We can take a loss, we gon' get it right. Yeah, I could be your boss, put game in your life. Or you can spin your wheels, that chain off your back. I'm here to be my fam, they want their name in the lights.
We came today to go to war. It's a privilege to be out here. It's a privilege to shine these lights.
You gotta love Jameis Winston.
I'm ready. Where are my cleats at?
Oh, we got a blue jersey for you upstairs if you need one. I got you all day.
Well, maybe against the Eagles. I mean, I could use a loss for the Eagles too. Suit me up, coach.
I like that. I definitely like that. So the 2-5 Giants are headed to the link to take on the Eagles, who are 5-2. Kickoff is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eagles by 7.5. And when we get to the Commanders game, the way that the Commanders are, definitely up against the odds is kind of ridiculous. But I think that the 7.5 is a little bit too much in this one too.
I thought that was egregious.
Yeah, I thought it's a little egregious myself. Last week, the Giants did lose to the Broncos in devastating fashion. I'm still trying to get over it. 33-32, all 33 points in the fourth quarter. Demaryius Thomas, who they were honoring, entering him into the Ring of Honor for the Denver Broncos, died at the age of 33. The game went 3 hours and 33 minutes.
Wow.
Look at God. So I do think the football gods were on the Broncos' side. But after losing 2 straight games, the Eagles beat the Vikings 28-22 to really get back on track here. Last meeting, we all know the New York Giants beat the Feathers off the Philadelphia Eagles 34-17 in week 6. And that 34 points, that's the second most amount of points that Vic Fangio has allowed since being over there with the Philadelphia Eagles as the defensive coordinator since 2024. But everybody knows this stat. This game is in Philly, and that changes the stakes here big time, if you ask me. The New York Giants have not won in Philly since 2013. We are now currently in 2025. For anybody that's living under a rock, that's a long-ass time to not beat a team at their home stadium. The Giants are looking for their first road win of the season. We're 0-4 on the road this year. 2 of the losses were by 3 points or less, an average margin of victory for the opponent of 7.2 points. So we've been losing some close games on the road. It makes me think about the Saints game, makes me think about last week in particular against the Denver Broncos. And the Giants are looking to sweep the Philadelphia Eagles for the first time since 2007. We all know what happened in 2007. If the Giants lose and fall to 2-6, their playoff chances dwindle all the way down to 1%. So if anybody out there is thinking, playoffs.
Do you know what it is if they win?
It'll jump up to 7.
Okay.
Both pretty shitty, if you ask me, right? I know you were expecting like 28%, and not too bad. He still got a chance, right? we really don't have a chance. A lot of guys didn't participate in practice this week. Brian Burns being the one that I'm not as most concerned about with the hip injury. Chauncey Golston with the neck injury. Javon Holland with the knee injury. He said he is supposed to play in this one, but the biggest injury of them all is Paulson Adebo, and we saw that pay its dividends or not pay the dividends at the end of the Broncos game. The Giants went out there and they signed Corey Black to the active roster, not the practice squad. So they're definitely expecting Paulson Adebo to not play in this game. He's dealing with the knee injury. And for those that forgot, Corey Black was the 7th-round pick by the New York Giants. When he ended up going to the practice squad, went to Philadelphia for a little bit. Now here he is back with the New York Giants. Darius Slayton back at practice as well. Graham Gano got activated, so he is expected to be the kicker on Sunday. I don't know if that makes Giants fans feel like, more confident or less confident.
Put that guy in a bubble during the pregame.
Graham Gano cannot stay healthy. It's been tough, but more importantly, the Eagles are getting Landon Dickerson back in the lineup along with Jalen Carter, who's expected to play as well. And they got Brandon Graham, who came out of retirement to try to provide some spark to that Eagles pass rush. But the Eagles got back on track in Week 7 against the Minnesota Vikings. And, I can remember about 3 weeks ago, I was talking about how Jalen Hurts is really the driver of this offense. Saquon Barkley being the normal engine, hasn't been that this year, but Jalen Hurts has been playing turnover-free football basically throughout the entirety of the season, and he was amazing last week. 19 of 23 for 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. It's his best game of the year. Perfect passer rating of 158.3. That's only the 3rd time we've seen that in Philadelphia Eagles history since they have been a franchise. Devonta Smith was the main target with 183 yards on 9 receptions, 11 targets, huge 79-yard touchdown, and I know, considering the way our fantasy team is set up, when he caught that touchdown, I'm sure you were pretty excited about that. Season high, 9 receptions. And, when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles offense, when I really think that, Devonta Smith is like that. I know you've been asking for them to fill in that slot role and get that 3rd wide receiver. That is very necessary when Devonta Smith is not playing to his capability. But when he is, that Eagles offense is basically unstoppable. And A.J. Brown had a good game, 121 yards on 4 receptions, 6 targets on the day, averaging 30.3 yards per reception.
So what's that? What's that, though? That's probably like 90% of Jalen Hurts' passing yards, but just between those two guys.
Oh, absolutely. And it's always like that, right? Because they don't have that 3rd guy. Dallas Goedert has filled a role this year and been really well. I've had him on a couple of my fantasy teams, but the Antonio Brown, the A.J. Brown, 2 touchdowns, 8th time of his career. And he is dealing with a bit of a hamstring injury, so maybe that can help us out a little bit. But this is the point that I really wanted to make before I kick this over to you. To the fans that are screaming, the Giants need to blitz more. And I sort of agree with that to an extent, situationally, right? Because the Giants came into last week with the 12th highest blitz rate in the National Football League. But this might not be the game to really try to blitz Jalen Hurts a ton. I know that we did have some success in Week 6 sending pressure at Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts was the most blitzed quarterback in Week 7. And Brian Flores and the Vikings blitzed him 65.4% of their plays. Hurts was pressured 16 times, which was basically 50% of the snaps, and he obviously excelled with the perfect passer rating, and he was only sacked 3 times on the day. I think, for me, what I'm looking for in this game from the New York Giants, clean up the back end of this defense. I know we're dealing with some injuries, but last week was just an embarrassment. And I know a lot of people are harping on Deonte Banks and, oh, man, Deonte Banks came in the game and everything went to shit. The New York Giants started looking like shit. But in reality, Deonte Banks really gave up 2 plays, if you ask me. One of them was the backside or back shoulder fade on the left sideline where it's decent defense, but it's the same story with Deonte Banks not getting his head around. And Cortland Sutton kind of just out-jumps him and really makes a very impressive catch. But for me, the guy that, after looking at a lot of the All-22 from that game, it was Andrew Phillips, man. And I challenge you guys to go back and just look at it. It's on the channel. The last few passing plays from Bo Nix in this game on the last 2 drives, and just focus on Andrew Phillips. It was a disaster, very forgettable game. The way that he got beat on that dagger concept when you know that dig is going to be coming right at you, and he's trailing on the clear-out route, and he just kind of just gives up on the play. And that is why Marvin Mims ended up catching the ball. So again, I do challenge people to go back and check it out. The poor tackling on the play with Evan Ingram where he caught the ball, and it almost looked like Drew Phillips just tried to, like they were playing 2-hand touch in a co-ed football league or something, and he just puts 2 hands on him, but Evan Ingram just breaks the tackle and keeps it going. I saw Bobby Skinner post a stat that was really alarming. Andrew Phillips has the 4th most yards allowed and most penalties for any cornerback in the NFL right now in 2025. We got to find a way to clean that up. And for people that think that those kind of egregious mistakes are on the coaching staff, I'm here to tell you that that is just not the fact. So we need a better effort not only from Andrew Phillips, but from this entire defense. The way that they were just gassed at the end of that Denver game cannot happen for the rest of the season. 3rd down is going to be extremely important. The Eagles have gone 3 and out on 36% of their drives this season. is dead worst in the NFL right now. League average for 3 and outs is 21%. The Eagles are at 36%. When you look at it over the last 3 weeks of football, 41% of their drives since week 4 also have had a 3 and out within that drive. So that's also worst in the NFL. I think you're going to have to find a way to stop them on third down. I'll leave some of that to you. But stopping Saquon Barkley, again, is going to be a priority for me. I know last week against Minnesota, it looked terrible, only averaging 2.4 yards per carry. He had 18 rushes for 44 yards. The number of rushing attempts is telling me that Saquon is getting healthier. We know he's dealing with that knee injury, but giving a guy 18 attempts in a game, that lets you know that he is the bell cow running back. But right now, Saquon is absolutely in struggle mode. 23rd in rushing yards, 18th in rushing touchdowns, and that all of that while being 3rd in rushing attempts in the NFL. 0 100-yard games in 2025. Saquon's longest run was the first run against the New York Giants in Week 6 where he broke off an 18-yard run. He does not have a play longer than that on the entire season. All I say to that is, yeah, the numbers look like dog shit right now and don't support the type of running back that Saquon Barkley is, but do not fall asleep at the wheel on Saquon Barkley. Y'all already know this is going to be the second of 2 revenge games for him throughout this season. You would hope that there will be a third one and the Giants can make the playoffs, but it's not truly looking like that as of yet. But Beard, how you feeling about this matchup going up against, one of y'all rivals as well with the Washington Commanders, but more importantly with the New York Giants?
I think it's interesting because the game is so close to the last game, right? So I feel like it's a lot easier for the team. And when I say the team, I mean Philadelphia Eagles because they lost, but both teams should be in the same situation here to make adjustments according to that game specifically because it was so close in time.
Does that put the Eagles at an advantage in your opinion that
Yes.
they have to go back and correct the mistakes where the New York Giants have to kind of figure out how to keep the ball rolling?
I totally believe that gives the Eagles an advantage. And I think there's a lot of, variables that go into that advantage, obviously, because and I hate to use this because it's such an overused and generic term, right? But,
yeah.
They have tape now, right?
They do have some tape.
That was the first, that matchup against Cam Scadaboo and Jackson Dart. Nobody knew, the Giants fan base knew, right?
Yeah.
But nobody knew that was going to happen. And I think that, they'll probably make some adjustments. You're dealing with one of the best defensive coordinators in the National Football League in Vic Fangio. So I think that's something that's at a disadvantage for New York Giants. It's interesting because last week, the Philadelphia Eagles offensively played under center 42% of the time. Jalen Hurts took snaps under center. And that's the highest of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And in turn, Jalen Hurts had his best game passing of the year. 61.5% of the dropbacks for Jalen Hurts last week were with extra protection. So that's another thing that
probably
doing.
comes from the Giants game in Week 6 where we were definitely getting after him in that game, and he looked very uncomfortable.
Exactly. So those are the sort of changes, and I think that's something that, as in our fan bases, we are always clamoring for, right? We're going crazy for adjustments, right? What are the coaches doing? And I think that these are things that what makes the Eagles so good is their ability to make these changes and really realize. Some people will say it's a stubborn thing with coaches. Like coaches can be super stubborn, like, it's my way or the highway. We're going to do it this scheme and this way. I don't care what what players I have, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people use that as an excuse, but I think the Eagles are really good at making those sort of adjustments. And in the first matchup, obviously what the Giants want to be able to do is they want to be able to replicate what they did in the victory a couple weeks ago against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles were 1 of 9 on third down in that game. And you talked about the third downs are going to be a big deal here. And speaking of third downs, the Eagles have the worst third down offense in the National Football League, which is uncharacteristic of them. 34.1% on third down. New York Giants defense third down is middle of the pack, pretty good. 15th best in the NFL at 38.2%. So that's one of the things that you're going to want to do. And offensively, this is a crazy number. Offensively, the New York Giants were 11 of 16 on third downs in that first matchup. That's a hard thing to replicate.
Big
but
time.
I think a lot of that has to do with having Jackson Dart, having Scadaboo. That changes your third down offense so much. And we've talked about that week in and week out since they've made that change. So that's something that's going to be a big difference. Another big difference is the rushing. The difference in the rushing yards that game was crazy. It's almost like the Giants played the Eagles game and the Eagles played like how the Giants
That's very
played.
true.
That's literally what it is. So they outran the Philadelphia Eagles by almost 100 yards, 172 to 173. And they ran the ball 39 times. You know I love a good 39, 40
Absolutely.
rushes.
RTDD,
Giants ran the ball
man.
39 times. I think the biggest difference, though, is the turnover differential. Seems to be a theme for me in these games we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
New York Giants in that game were +2 turnover differential. Okay, that's huge, especially going up against the Eagles because the Eagles are pretty good in the red zone. The Giants pretty bad in the red zone, although in that game, 3 for 3 in the red zone, and the Eagles
Those
are 2
numbers
of
are
3 in the
starting to
red
change.
zone. And they also won the time of possession. So these are the things that the Beard is embedded in winning football. And that's why they won the game. They did all of those things. So they got to continue to run the ball. It's crazy because you look at Philly. Philly's usually Philly over the last couple of years. Philly, Baltimore, Buffalo, in Washington, if you're talking about last year and this year, teams that are leading the league in rushing, right?
Yeah.
The Eagles are 30th in the NFL in rushing this year.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with Saquon's struggles right now because they're committed to him. He's just not getting the yards.
But the thing is the Eagles are number 1 in the NFL in the red zone. And a lot of people will think that has a lot to do with the tush push. I think some of it does. Shout out to the Minnesota Vikings, though. I hope everybody in the NFL was taking notes.
Yeah, finding ways.
They had a little setup there, and that's what I like. That's why I like. And trust me, the Commanders fans are top of the mountain as far as people who want the tush push banned, right? And I'm against banning it.
because y'all look the craziest trying to stop it when was that Frankie
Frankie
Louvu trying to dive over the damn lines? Like, can you stop?
I'm not one of those guys because I hate that. I hate that somebody has figured out a way to do something, and because everybody else can't stop it, we have to ban it. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world.
I agree with you on that.
So shout out to the Vikings because they're at least trying. We're
definitely in the minority on that because I put out a tweet when we played the Eagles. I was like, man, you got to respect that tush push. They ran it 4 straight times and got a touchdown. Giants fans were like, I don't respect that shit. I get it because it's the Eagles. I get it. But if it was us, imagine if we were running tush push with Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo. And by the way, I saw Cam Scadaboo on a couple of those quarterback sneaks just like standing in the back. Like, bro, get in there and put a helmet on somebody. Push them up, But if that was us, Giants fans would be like, ha, love it. Here it comes again, right?
Shout out MOP, by the way. That was one of the best Cam Scadaboo, Jackson Dart.
Yeah, that clip was hilarious.
Shorts memes I've seen. But I think the last thing I want to touch on is it's kind of an interesting number. And I wish I would have delved into it a little bit more as far as statistically, these are some of those stats that aren't readily available. You kind of got to do a little bit of digging, and I'm sure I could find them. But how the Giants perform on first and second down, okay? Specifically on second down. I think that's a number that I would like to see how the Giants are performing on second down. Because when I was diving into the third down numbers, I saw that the New York Giants have they're tied for the 4th most third down attempts in the National Football League. They have 96 third down attempts. So to me, that says that you're not really getting a lot of first downs, which means that you're not getting a lot of first downs on first and second down.
Yeah.
So that's a number that kind of intrigued me a little bit to have that many third down attempts. What does that say about your offense? If somebody told you that your team was tied for the 4th most third down attempts, what would that tell you about your team offensively?
Yeah, I mean, it lets you know that first and second down, not having a lot of success.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be important. And
I can give you some second down numbers actually, real quick on that. So right now, from a passing standpoint, the Giants on second down are 39 of 64, 357 yards. On first down, they're actually not too terrible.
So it's the second down that's they're having struggle with.
Big time, and only 2 touchdowns through the air. On first down, passing the ball, we've actually been pretty good. 59 of 88, 67%, 653 yards, 7.4 yards per attempt, and 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Our interceptions, 3 of them have came on second down. So that's a big thing. No interceptions actually 2 interceptions on third down and 1 interception on fourth down. So second down has definitely been a struggle. Let me kind of look at the rushing numbers while we're here on this topic as well too. So let's see. On first down, we're averaging 4.1 yards per carry. On second down, we're averaging 4.2 yards per carry. So not too bad. I mean, it's probably just about this could aim back at the coaching staff here a little bit, just about situational ball and like how they're actually approaching those downs. After gaining 4 yards on first down, what are we doing after that? And then those are some of the deep areas where you could dive in to kind of find out why the New York Giants are struggling.
Yeah, so I think that's something to keep your eye out on, and just to, like in the back of your mind, because a lot of times what I do is when I'm watching the games or I'm going back and I'm watching, recaps of games, because sometimes it's hard to watch both of our games live, obviously.
Absolutely.
But like when I go back and I'm watching some of it, and like I like to look back on some of the stuff that we talked about to kind of see like how that, played out in the actual game. So just when you're watching the game, just keep an eye out. What are the New York Giants doing on second down? Just it's just something to watch in the background of actually watching the game, because I'd be curious to see, like, are they passing too much on second down? Because that rushing average that you tell me on second down is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
So maybe they're passing the ball too much on second down.
Yeah, 4.23 yards per carry on second down. Yeah, and let me check it in long. So I mean, even when you look at second down and 8 or above, they're averaging right around 4 yards a carry too. They average 5.5 yards per carry on second down and 8 to 10 yards. So that is interesting. That I'm going to do a deep dive on that. I got some homework that I absolutely got to lock in on that for sure. But I truly think that what we're looking at with the New York Giants offensively is still a bad unit. Mm-hmm. And when you have no Malik Neighbors out there, and considering what we are doing, I think it just speaks volumes for the quarterback. Like the offense right now is moving because of Jackson Dart. 1,000%. You look at the last 4 weeks, they're averaging 25.3 points per game, which is top 10 in the NFL during that span. In 4 games, Jackson Dart has 7 total touchdowns in the red zone. 2 touchdowns came versus Denver last week, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air. You look at Russell Wilson, in comparison, in 3 games, Russell Wilson had 0 red zone touchdowns throughout that whole entire time. But you look back, this is more of I want to say an organizational failure, but I'm going to go ahead and just chalk this one up to Brian Daboll and the offense and Mike Kafka. The Giants have turned the ball over on downs 9 times in the red zone. Not in general, 9 times in the red zone dating back to last season. It's the most in the NFL. So this is something that bringing in a new quarterback like Jackson Dart, that could be correcting some of those issues slowly but surely, because you've seen the red zone numbers go up for the New York Giants throughout these 4 games where Jackson Dart has been a part of the lineup here. He played his best game last week, 3 touchdowns, 283 passing yards versus Denver. Those are both career highs for him. He had the 1 costly interception, which protection broke down on that play, and I'm not making up excuses, but he definitely saw that linebacker right there. Couldn't get his feet underneath of him. I challenge y'all to go back and look at Cam Scatterbo on that play. He absolutely gets blown up in the A-gap. Jackson Dart right now, 3rd rookie quarterback since 2000 with 10 total touchdowns in his first 4 career starts. There's only 2 other quarterbacks that have done that, and those 2 quarterbacks during that time were really damn good. It's Justin Herbert and Deshaun Watson. He's the first Giants rookie quarterback with at least 3 touchdown passes and 1 rushing touchdown in a game since 1948. That was Charlie Connerly, who also went to Ole Miss. So Jackson Dart is really, truly what is making this whole entire offense move. And I do want to show the numbers from the last Broncos game here where, he was 15 of 33, but he was doing everything in his power to make that offense move. And it at times, it definitely was looking ugly. But you look at Dart and the way that he's been running the ball from the quarterback position and also how he's been manipulating the pocket. His legs are the difference in the reason why the New York Giants have been able to succeed with him in the lineup. He's got a rushing touchdown in 3 out of his 4 starts so far. So for me, and you look at these numbers here versus the Broncos, you look at the numbers versus the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 6 where Jackson Dart had 195 yards through the air, 60 on the ground. If I am Vic Fangio, I'm going to make Jackson Dart beat me with his arm. I'm going to completely sell out to stop the run. I'm going to put 8 men in the box. I've been talking about on the Giant Overreactions and on some of these previews about how Cam Scadaboo has had tremendous success going up against six-man fronts. So if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to keep 7 in the box, likely going to have 8 in the box. The Giants got scraps on the outside at the wide receiver position. I'm going to force the Giants wide receivers to make plays on the outside. And really, you look at how the New York Giants wide receivers have been mostly making plays over the last couple of weeks with Jackson Dart in the lineup. Outside of a big play here and there, the little Jordan Humphrey play 2 weeks ago, it's really been Wan'Dale Robinson. And a lot of that's happening from him operating out of the slot. And you look at last week, Wan'Dale Robinson was the only wide receiver to catch a pass on the entire team. So I think that the goal, isn't that crazy? Like literally, you only had 4 pass catchers in the game last week actually make a reception.
It's what Dallas did to Washington last week.
Yeah, man. I think that, defensively for Vic Fangio, I think the challenge here is going to be able to, how are you going to stop the 12 and 13 personnel that the New York Giants have started the last 2 weeks with, right? They're predominantly 12 and 13 in the first half of both of those last 2 games. But you got to get pressure on Jackson Dart. And if you're going to be lining up 2 tight ends offensively for the Giants, to me, the way to just get that pressure is sell out. Stack the box, get those players in the box, have them sell out against the run, and send some blitzes at Jackson Dart and make him uncomfortable. When you send forward Jackson Dart, he's always comfortable, even when he's under pressure. In week 6, the Giants ran the ball so well against the Philadelphia Eagles, and we need to see that again. 172 yards on the ground for the New York Giants, 4.4 yards per carry. That was led by Cam Scadaboo, 19 rushes for 98 yards. He had 3 touchdowns in that game, too. And I want to say Cam Scadaboo was the first rookie running back to get 3 touchdowns for the New York Giants in the history of the franchise. He also had played 71% of the snaps. That was the game where we started really feeling like Cam could become that running back one. But Jackson Dart, more importantly, aiding that rushing attack with 58 yards on the ground on 13 rushes. If the Eagles struggle to contain the quarterback and limit the rushing yards, right, that's going to be the recipe for the New York Giants to have a good chance to win this game. It's either going to be RTDB from a perspective of Jackson Dart or RTDB from a perspective of Cam Scadaboo. Right now, if that can't work out, the Giants got to find a way to create explosive plays, and I'm not confident in that with this particular wide receiver lineup. Yeah, Darius Slayton is supposed to come back in the lineup, and he is known to be able to stretch the field, but the Giants are going to have to generate some explosive plays with some backups out there, with a bunch of practice squad wide receivers, and that's going to be extremely tough. But the Giants have been creating explosive plays with Jackson Dart in the lineup, and you look at the Dallas game with Russell Wilson and definitely a few explosive plays in that game as well. The Giants have 8 touchdowns over 20 yards this season. That's 3rd best in the NFL. So for me, it's how are the Giants going to move the ball if the running game is not clicking? That's the big question right there. Is it going to be Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger like it was a week ago where they each had a touchdown? I don't know. I don't think that this 12 and 13 personnel philosophy is sustainable, but it has to be sustainable because Malik Neighbors is out for the year. And these are things that I think for the people that are, very just strongly opinionated on firing everybody at this moment in time. When you look at it offensively, Dable and Kafka aren't working with a lot of weaponry here.
Yeah.
And considering that they're scoring the amount of points that they have scored over the last 2, 3, and 4 weeks here, I think they've been doing a really good job offensively. So for me, the Giants got to find a way to get an early lead again. Hold on to it this time. Don't go into the 4th quarter, making those boneheaded type of plays. Hold on to the lead. This game should be close if we can get an early lead. But I think that the Eagles getting back Landon Dickerson on the interior portion of that offensive line, I think that really could be the difference. And I'm leaning towards the Philadelphia Eagles evening, the matchup here in the first 2 games of this year, whatever, divisionally with the New York Giants. I think they have a good chance of evening it up. And I just can't really see the New York Giants sweeping the Philadelphia Eagles.
It'd be fantastic, though.
It'd be amazing. I don't think it's impossible. But, I'm not that large of a betting man. But if I have to bet my money, I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. But how you viewing it, and what do you think the score is going to be in this one?
Well, I mean, I was definitely leaning towards the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we got breaking news that the New York Giants signed Ray McCloud to the practice squad. And that kind of threw a wrench in things, Yeah.
Now we really picking the Eagles, right?
Help is on the way. Don't worry, okay? Listen, I was going to Jamaica last week, And when
I forgot, man.
I even put the screenshot of the two announcers with the Jamaican t-shirts over the turtleneck under the authentic tweet that just said "damn." I was like, I knew it was tough when I didn't get a reply to that one.
I'm worried, like just no other context. I'm worried. Damn, game over.
I think it's close. I really do. And I think that a lot of that is the mentality that you have from the quarterback position and with Cam Scatterbo too. I think that football mentality is starting to bleed into the rest of this team. I think it's lighting a fire under a lot of people. I think that number is disrespectful, especially after beating the Eagles already this year. I hate to say this, but I think this comes down to a kicker again.
Me too. Me too. My score is set in stone for this game.
Mine is too. It's on the paper. It's written. It's written in chicken. Okay, it's written in chicken. 27-24 Philadelphia Eagles.
That is so fucking crazy. I swear to God, me and the Beard did not talk about this. I got the Eagles 27-24. I swear to God. I could show you my screen right now. I had 5 points to end that whole breakdown, and the last one is 27-24 Philadelphia Eagles.
Well.
I do think the Giants got a shot, man, but it's definitely going to be tough, man. Let's tap in with the chat one time. We got a couple of super chats in the building.
Big shout out to B-Rock with a $20 super chat. Says, Giants are 0 forever in prime time. We fixed that. Giants are 0 forever at Philly. I hope we can fix that too. The Eagles aren't great on third down, and the running game isn't functioning well. I like how you put that because it's not that it's bad. It's just not functioning well. It's very, very well put. It says, let's see what can happen. Listen, I say this all the time to people, right? Everything that has been done was once never done before. Okay? So every time somebody tells me, oh, this has never happened and all this and that, everything that has happened has once never happened before. Okay? So let's just remember
Very
that.
optimistic way to look at it. I definitely like that. Shout out to B-Rog for helping us raise the bar one time over here on Authentic in the Beard.
Big shout out to... Wait, is this B-Rog's brother?
This is B-Rog's burner.
Brian Rogowski. 9370. Sounds like a relief pitcher for the Chicago Cubs in
Brian
a
Rogowski.
Disney movie. With a $5 super chat. Says the tush push is equivalent to getting killed by a headshot from quick scoping in Black Ops.
What you know about some Black Ops, boy?
I don't know anything about video games. You hate it, but it ain't going anywhere.
We got an Xbox for you if you want to start joining the party here. But yeah, Black Ops, I want to say Beta 7 came out just a couple of weeks back and whatnot. It's definitely like that. I know all about that. In Apex Legends, I use a character called Vantage, and she's got a sniper right on her hip at all times. An extra gun.
Vantage point?
Exactly. And she has a bird that can get her to a vantage point. Little owl. So I know all about them sniping.
Is it a big owl if she's carrying her?
It's a little baby owl on the shoulder.
It's on the shoulder.
It goes, "Caw-caw," and then, and then you can fly to the bird. But shout out to B-Rog, man, helping us raise the bar over here on Authentic in the Beard. And we got one more.
Big shout out to Lou Mateo. 4534 with a $2 super chat.
4534.
Do.
You already know where I was pitching now.
45-47. Before there was 6-7, there was 45-47 for all you young bucks. Chauncey Billups said, "Pick the Giants." Listen, I want everybody to know we're not going to drag Chauncey Billups through the mud because Chauncey Billups wasn't betting and fixing basketball games, okay? He got arrested by the FBI, but it's two separate investigations, okay? He got arrested by the FBI because he was playing poker with the Sopranos, okay? So, and we all know New York Giants legend Lawrence Taylor was also playing poker with the Sopranos. So we're not gonna drag Chauncey Billups through the mud. Terry Rozier, You could dag him through the mud. That guy was fixing games. That's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the documentary? Remember with Heddick? Remember that college player Heddick that was
From
throwing
University
games?
of Houston, wasn't it?
I think so. Hey, got his homie involved in it. Like, look, we just got to keep things close. Ended up getting caught up. That's some hood shit right there, boy.
Whew, tough times in the NBA.
Definitely some tough times, man. Big shout out my dog, Lou Mateo, man. I hope the art is going well. Lou Mateo's definitely fire with that paintbrush one time. All right, Beard. Let's get right into it, man. We got one more game to go, one more real game to go over. We don't consider the Dallas
Don't
Cowboys.
let Kai and Monique hear you say that.
I know. I hope they're in the chat, listening in right now. But let's go ahead and talk about your Washington Commanders, man. Traveling to Kansas City to take on a hot Kansas City Chiefs offense one time.
He's elevated an otherwise average roster, made him a viable Super Bowl contender.
We're not there yet, and that's why I think in the early part of the season that identity is formed not by what's called, but how you play it. And I'm watching the how a lot.
You said for some reason with Jaden Daniels, the rookie rules don't apply.
All right, Beard. Looking forward to this one here. Commanders 3-4, Chiefs 4-3. Kickoff is Monday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know if this was a typo on all 5 sites that I went to go look at. Chiefs by 12.5.
12.5. Got us looking like the New York Jets out here in the gambling
I thought
books.
you about to pew my Giants one time.
No,
I'm glad that was at the other New York team. Over-under's 47. 12.5 is ridiculous. I mean, listen. I'm putting some money on the Commanders if I'm going to bet today. I mean, that's definitely a vibe right there. 12.5 seems kind of crazy, even with a backup quarterback. But Commanders lost last week to the Dallas Cowboys, 44-22. The Chiefs beat the brakes off the Raiders, 31-0. Last meeting, Chiefs beat the Commanders 31-13. That was in October of 2021. Washington is 1-10 all time against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Commanders have never won in Kansas City. What was the saying you said? Everything that's happened before?
Everything that has happened once never happened before.
I feel like I'm talking to like my little nephew or something. Like, everything. It's such a fact right there. Washington already has 2 wins versus the AFC West. They beat the Raiders and they beat the Chargers. The Commanders are looking to become the first NFC East team to win 3 straight games against the AFC West to start a season. You're going to like this since Philadelphia did it in 2017. I don't know if you remember how that season ended. Right
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl is how it ended.
Anytime Authentic says something about a year in a season, I just automatically assume Super Bowl. You can never know who won the Super Bowl that year, but if Authentic lines it up like that, Super Bowl is always the answer.
Super Bowl. So maybe this is a sign of things to come, or maybe this is just an irrelevant stat here. But Washington is coming into Week 8 on a 2-game losing streak. They've also have not beat the Kansas City Chiefs in 42 years. The last time they beat the Chiefs was in 1983. I was just coming out the womb like, yeah.
I was -1.
The Beard wasn't even here yet. All right. Washington coming into Week 8 on that 2-game losing streak. Their first losing streak since Week 10 of 2024 when they lost 3 straight to Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and the Dallas Cowboys. No Jaden Daniels is going to be Marcus Mariota. He'll make his 3rd start of the season on Monday night. In Week 7, Jaden Daniels sustained a low-grade hamstring strain. You know how them hamstrings are. Definitely going to be tough. Good news is Marcus Mariota in his career against the Kansas City Chiefs, 1-0.
Hey.
It's a good look, right? Y'all know the saying over here, especially for me, is support your veterans. And the way you do that is RTDB. Commanders have definitely done a great job running the ball this year. I'd say the least high throttle personnel, but the most effective running back by committee maybe in the NFL. Currently, right now, Washington is 2nd in rushing, averaging 148.9 rushing yards per game. 136 yards on the ground versus Dallas last week, but that wasn't enough. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is the only running back on that roster that has had a 100-yard performance this year. That happened in Week 5 against the Los Angeles Chargers. He had 111 yards in that game. And this is a pretty big nugget alert that you're not going to like here.
I'm not going to like this nugget.
You're not going to like this one. Including the postseason, the Chiefs have not allowed a 100-yard rusher. Take a guess at how many games.
Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say 42.
26 straight games the Kansas City Chiefs have not allowed a 100-yard rusher, including the playoffs. You got Deebo Samuel coming in questionable. Trending in the right direction is what Dan Quinn said. Yeah. So that's a good look. Terry McLaurin, also questionable in this one.
Trending in the right direction.
Trending in the right direction, as Dan Quinn said. RTDB, though, has not been the issue for the Washington Commanders. No. And this is where, I'll set things up and then kick it over to you. It's been health, obviously the injuries, and this defense, especially on the back end of this defense, they have not been good. Kind of like my New York Giants. Mm-hmm. Commanders defense right now is allowing 364.3 total yards per game. That's 27th in the NFL. They've allowed 409 total yards to the Dallas Cowboys last week and 381 total yards to the Chicago Bears the week before. They allowed Dak Prescott and Caleb Williams to go over 250 passing yards and 0 interceptions for both of those quarterbacks in both of those games. The Commanders have just 2 interceptions on the season. 28th in the NFL. For context, the Chicago Bears, who they played 2 weeks ago, are number 1 in the NFL right now with 11 interceptions defensively on the year. I do think field position is going to be important, especially with a backup quarterback out there. You want to see all 3 phases click in this game. Special teams is going to have to find a way to get some good returns. And that's very tough against the Kansas City Chiefs. Only 7% of the plays ran against the Chiefs were in their own territory in Week 7. Best in the NFL last week.
Okay. Listen, that was the Raiders. The Raiders' offense is abysmal.
I get it, but it's not like they went out there and were playing Rutgers, right? It's an NFL football team.
Damn close.
All right.
They had 3 first downs the entire game, the Raiders did.
And league average is 48%. So 7%.
Jesus Christ.
It's kind of fucking crazy, okay? This is a must-win for the Commanders because if they lose, their playoff chances will dip to just 7%. Currently, your Washington Commanders that you said were going to finish number 1 in the division at the beginning of the season. Yes, you fucking did. All right.
13%? Are we at like 13% right now?
I think it's lower than that. Y'all are currently 13th in the NFC right now. There are only 3 teams in the NFC that the Commanders have a better record than. Obviously, one of them is the New York Giants. Yes. Yes. Y'all like this wake-up call for the beard right now?
I mean, I knew it was bad, but you're just I was trying to save some of my bad feelings for this.
I'm crying over
you're
here,
just
bro.
Throwing them over to me.
I'm crying. I didn't even set it up to be this bad, but yeah, it's just the Giants, the Saints, and the Arizona Cardinals. Those are the only 3 teams that you have a better record than in the NFC. So
I told Authentic before we started, when we started the show, I told all you guys, it's not like we're playing bad football. And Authentic's like, you only have a record better than 3 other teams in the whole
Hold this Celsius real quick. It's been bad, bro. It's been bad. And you're about to go up against a Chiefs offense that has been on fire.
Hot chicken.
I'm going to save some of these nuggets here because I don't want to pile on
just keep feeding
or
them.
punch down.
I haven't ate all damn day, so I'm ready for some nuggets.
I'm going to start right here. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to kick it over to you. See what you got over there before we get to the roadmap. The Chiefs have scored at least 27 points in 4 straight games. So Commanders going to have to score some points in this game.
I'm pretty sure they're going to score 27 this week, too. Let's just go ahead and say that.
Score some points, bro. How you think the Commanders are going to find their way in the end zone in this game? And just in general, how are you going to stay in this matchup?
Is that a real question? Okay. I mean, look, listen.
He looked out his window like, God, why?
All right, I mean, where do we start here, okay? You talked about Washington's run game. Let me just rewind. Injuries, okay, have been really bad, and I don't want to use it as an excuse, but it's been bad, and I don't know what we're going to do. This is the thing, is like it's difficult, right? Like, roster construction is so important, and, a lot of people are upset here in Washington. We didn't really do a good job. We upgraded where we could.
Just real quick, that's true. That is true.
Which makes me like, every time I see stuff like that, I'm like,
Nick Wright was like, PFF, y'all got to find a way.
Yeah, got to find a way. That doesn't make any sense. But Washington's going to have to run the ball. There's no denying that. And the Dallas Cowboys, shout out to the Dallas Cowboys. They whooped our ass last week. Well-deserved win. Shout out to the Cowboys fans in the chat, okay? They stopped the run. We couldn't run the ball against them. I don't know how, when you said how many rushing yards we had, that's got to be a typo. Like that, between that and the spread, there's something got mixed up here, okay? are computing numbers all over the place, right? But
the computer's puting.
yeah, shout out Cameron. The thing is that they stopped them when it mattered most, and I think that's super important. And that's why I said that the Giants, the Eagles are probably going to do to the Giants what Dallas did to Washington last week, because they lined up and man more than they had any other season this year, because they were throwing the ball to Chris Brown and Lenny Moore.
It's Chris Moore. It's Chris Moore, man.
But Chris Moore and Luke McCaffrey didn't even have a damn catch. He was our number one, but they were like, "Oh, what are we gonna do here?" And so, like, they're gonna have to find a way to run the ball. I mean, this is when Cliff Kingsbury's got to dig deep in his bag, because we've seen it before. We saw it a lot last year.
Yeah,
and I think once again, personnel. I think Cliff Kingsbury needs to look at Jeremy McNichols and Bill Krosky Merritt, how he looked at Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. Because I feel like you can implement a lot of those innovative run plays that you were using with those two guys the same way with McNichols and Bill Krosky Merritt. So the Kansas City's run defense isn't great. It's not bad, but it's 15th in the league. They're allowing 105.7 yards per game, and it's
that's
interesting.
a good number. It's a good number.
It is a good 15th,
number. It's a good number.
And what's interesting is, Authentic and I, a lot of times we have these same wavelengths. And we don't. Sometimes we talk about stuff for the show. Sometimes we don't. And you mentioned field position, which is amazing to me. Washington's special teams is, in my opinion, the best special teams in the National Football League. Close to it. Maybe, all right, I'm lying. They're not the best, because then I remember we have a really bad kicker.
All right, okay? I'm lying.
But as far as starting field position goes, they have the 11th best starting field position in the NFL. They're averaging starting from their own 31.3 yard line.
Crazy. We didn't talk about that.
We didn't. And they're only 3.1 yards behind the best starting field position in the National Football League. So Luke McCaffrey has been fantastic returning kickoffs. If you get a chance to watch Washington games and watch him return kickoffs, he's really, really good at that role. And it's something we haven't had in a long time. But we've been really good on special teams this year. Now, one of the things that I notice is that there's a lot of discrepancies here between Washington and Kansas City. One of them is being scoring percentage. And this is something that Washington is down from last year. They need to score more. Then it's not like they're not scoring. Like I said in the beginning of the show, they're scoring like 20, I think it's either 24 or 26 points per game. But their scoring percentage is really bad. Okay, they're 15th in scoring. When I say bad in comparison to last year, and what they need to do in order to, defend this defense. Okay, because that's basically what this offense.
Defend the defense.
Our best
I got you.
Our best defense is our offense right now. Okay. So they're 15th in scoring percentage at 40.8%. For those of you that don't know what scoring percentage is the percent of times that you score points when you have possession of the football. The Kansas City Chiefs, on the other hand, have the number 2 scoring percentage in the National Football League at 52.3%. They are scoring on over half of the times that they possess the ball. Okay, so and now you're going up against a Washington Cowboys defense that's really bad. Okay, so it's a combination.
The Washington Cowboys.
Washington Cowboys, because that's their defense is starting. It's like those memes where they have this one person morph into another person. It's like the Commanders' defense is morphing into the Dallas Cowboys defense right now. So
I think Gregory has a question for you. Mid breakdown here. What you think about this?
When the Cowboys have injuries all over the team, doesn't matter. But when Washington has injuries, that's different. No, absolutely not. Not to me. But I guarantee you to a lot of Cowboys and Commanders fans.
I mean, I think he's talking about last year, when you weren't giving the Dallas Cowboys any breaks. And I'd come up here every week and say, hey, man, but the injuries, man, Kendricks, DeMarvion Overshown, Bland, and all those guys.
Oh, no. Yeah, I gave you guys. I was on the Dallas's. I was on Dallas' side.
Do that one more time. That yeah.
But no, listen. That's how I said it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. You can't use it as an excuse. It's the old school way. Next man up, right? But when your next man up is Chris Moore and John Basquiat Baptiste on the D end, he's hurt. Okay, like it gets to a point where it's
Shout out
like
my Zoe.
they looking at Von Miller like, hey, come on. I know we signed you to play 10 snaps a game, but you might have to play 20, 30 snaps. And he's looking at him like, that's not what I came here for. So, like, Preston Smith is probably going to be starting at defensive end this week, I mean. That guy just came off of the streets. Okay, he was
Fun times.
He was playing poker with Chauncey
But
Billups
these aren't
in The
excuses.
Sopranos.
No excuses, right? No excuses.
No
Next man up.
excuses. No excuses. And speaking of the edge, you're going to have to protect the edge against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will absolutely destroy the Washington Commanders this Monday night with his legs. But that might not necessarily be a bad thing. You'll have to wait for the roadmap to hear that, okay? Mahomes also, he's only been sacked 11 times this year. That's the fourth fewest in the National Football League. Kansas City, sixth most passing yards in the NFL is 247.1, going up against absolutely listen, Marshawn Lattimore, I don't care if Timbuktu has got to play corner. Marshawn Lattimore's got to go. It's over. My patience is done. I defended him. I tried. Listen, kudos to the Adam Peters in the front office. They tried. They tried. They swung and they missed. Maybe put him at safety and put Sanders still back outside because Sanders still is struggling on the inside. Maybe we put Lattimore inside and put Sanders still on the outside. You got to figure out something because Lattimore, if he's not getting cooked, they're throwing flags. There's penalties on every other play. And like the pass interference penalties are so impactful because it's like 50-yard penalty.
Yeah,
like what are we doing here?
Shout out Andrew Phillips.
The Washington Commanders have the 8th most penalties in the National Football League, by the way. So that's got to change. You can't. They're averaging like 8 penalties a game or something crazy like that. And this is another thing here. Washington's 8th worst, giving up all those yards, 238.3 passing yards per game. Turnovers.
238.3.
Turnovers is the biggest difference, I think, from last year to this year. And we struggled a little bit in the beginning of the year last year, too. It's not like people are like, oh, if we were redrafting quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels would be the 3rd or 4th quarterback we take, right? And listen, I'm not mad at people.
We're hearing that?
Oh, it's all over. Drake Mays told you guys. Told you guys Jaden Daniels was not durable and injury prone. And Drake May, you should have taken Drake May. And said, listen, I'm not mad at those people, right? I'm not mad at those people because Drake May is playing great football, right? And people live in the moment. I'm not one of those people. I'm a logical guy, logical sensor, okay? I make sense of logic. And kudos to Drake May, Bo Nix, everybody, Caleb Williams. They're playing great football. They're all great. Jaden Daniels is not necessarily a problem. He's only had one interception all year long.
Yeah.
Right?
He just can't stay healthy right now. That's the biggest issue, the availability.
And a lot of that is offensive line, and a lot of that is on Jaden Daniels. I think there's this correlation between bad offensive play and Jaden Daniels not being as mentally strong this year as we saw last year. And I think a lot of that is because last year he was like, I just could go dip out, right? The little gallop like the antelopes in the desert. You know what I'm saying? But like he's not doing that as much this year because he's a little bit more cautious of his body and things like that. And he did put on some weight in the offseason.
And we'll see quarterbacks, when they come into the league as rookies, it always happens. They'll run the ball more than ever. You look at Jalen Hurts that first year, I think it was almost
Lamar Jackson.
800 yards. Even Lamar,
guys.
but Lamar's still getting it. I will put him in a separate category because he almost has to use his legs because that's basically his number one asset. It's almost equivalent to his passing. But you look at Jalen Hurts now. Jalen Hurts will find ways to not run the ball.
Yeah.
Get out the pocket and be like, I'm just going to slide and lose the yards. And we see quarterbacks adjust to the NFL speed and the power of the defenders like that.
And there's some other things here, too, that play into these defensive turnovers. And you talked about the lack of interceptions. Kansas City has tied for the second lowest interception percentage in the NFL at 0.8.
Yeah, Mahomes he's playing lights out.
They have the fewest turnovers in the NFL this year. They only have 2 turnovers all year long.
Both are from Mahomes. That's what's interesting,
too.
No other
fumbles.
players have turned over.
They're only one of 2 teams to not lose a fumble this year. Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who let us down last week on our Thursday night parlay, by the way.
Big time.
And they had the 5th best turnover differential the Kansas City Chiefs do at +5. Washington, on the other hand, 4th worst turnover differential in the NFL at -5. And it's not
defense
because
is not creating them.
The defense is not creating. It's not necessarily the offense, but the defense is not creating. And when you're giving up as many big plays, as many yards, and all that stuff as you are as a unit, the only way that you can combat that, a la Dallas Cowboys a few years back, is the turnovers. Remember when the Dallas Cowboys that year when it was like every week they were forcing turnovers, pick six and all that.
2 years in a row too. They did.
Yeah.
They led the league 2 years in a row. I remember that, and that's when everybody was like, skeptical that Trayvon Diggs couldn't cover because he was allowing a high passer rating, but he was getting a ton of interceptions that year. He led the league that year, I believe.
So that can mask a lot of deficiencies you have as a unit. And, we're talking about the red zone. That's something that we have to do. Kansas City Chiefs, do you know how many red zone attempts they have?
I know they have a lot. I'm going to take a guess and just say 30.
Spot on.
Are you serious? Damn.
Exactly 30. This is the second most in the NFL this year. They have the sixth best third down percentage
That's
at 44%. They have the best time per drive. That's what's so killer about the Kansas City Chiefs. They average 3 minutes and 29 seconds per drive. They're third best in the National Football League in time of possession at 32 minutes and 17 seconds. I don't know what we're going to do. Washington can't stop anybody on third down. They're ninth worst in the NFL in third down percentage at 35.5%. Oh, excuse me, 14th worst third down defense at 39.1. Offensively, they're the third worst on third down at 35.5%. Eighth most penalties. I don't know what to tell you.
Looking like that roadmap is going to be right straight to a L. But I did want to talk about Patrick Mahomes before we get off into the roadmap because he really put that team on his back and has really been playing lights out football after the first couple of weeks where people did it again, just like they do with the Philadelphia Eagles, all concerned and worried about Patrick Mahomes. But he's got over 220 yards through the air in his last 5 games, 5 straight games over 220. He has just one game all season under 200 yards, 18 total touchdowns to the 2 interceptions you talked about on the season, 14 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing, 1,800 passing yards on the year. He has at least 3 passing touchdowns in 3 of his last 4 games. Mahomes has a rushing touchdown in 4 of his 7 starts this year. He's doing what he has to do to win games, and that's what a great quarterback like Mahomes does. He's also been maybe the best quarterback in the red zone all year long. 16 of Mahomes' 18 total touchdowns have come in the red zone. That's also why they're such a great red zone team, is because they're not scoring from outside of the red zone at all. Mahomes has more passing attempts in the red zone than every quarterback in the NFL right now. What do we always say? You either have to maximize your opportunities or you got to be efficient with the minimal opportunities that you have. And Patrick Mahomes is kind of doing both. On Monday, he needs 34 passing yards to reach 40,000 for his career. So this is going to be a alley-oop to get to that 40,000 for sure.
He'll probably get that on the first play.
They might get that on the first pass play. That's a fact. And the Commanders' defense is not good, but they have gotten after quarterbacks pretty decent this year. 8th in sacks with 19 on the season. 11th in total pressures, according to Next Gen Stats, with 97 pressures on the season. They're pressuring quarterbacks on 38.8% of their dropbacks, which is 5th best in the NFL. But get this. The Chiefs have averaged 9.6 yards per play when Mahomes has scrambled this season, which is 3rd best in the NFL. So like you talked about earlier about containing Patrick Mahomes and keeping him in the pocket, which is containing the contain is going to be hard to contain. Exactly. It's just going to be difficult.
That sounded like a beard statement.
I tried to make it sound like one. And you talked about it. Mahomes only had been sacked 11 times on the entire season, and you guys are without your 2 top defensive ends. You lost Dietrich
Top
Wise
3.
Jr. early in the year. You lost Dorrance Armstrong last week to the season as well. Who's the 3rd?
John Baptiste Basquiat. He's out too.
John Baptiste Basquiat. He's already out as well. So it's going to be tough, man. I don't know how. I just don't. You need a bad game from the Kansas City Chiefs for Washington to be in this one, but floor is yours, brother. You let me know when we're ready to, that was kind of in sync right there.
Synchronized swimmers over here.
All right, let's get off into this roadmap, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Shout out to Chris Moore. That's Chris Moore driving the car right now in the unofficial sponsor, Waze Roadmap to Victory for the Washington Commanders. We talked about turnovers a lot. Talked about a lot about turnovers. You're going to need a lot of turnovers. Not by you, but forcing. You got to win the turnover battle. Talked about time of possession. I mean, listen, the Kansas City Chiefs have lost 3 games. In 2 of those 3 games that they've lost, they lost the time of possession battle. And as a team that is 4th best in time of possession, it's obviously very important to them to win games, so you have to win the time of possession battle. How do you win a time of possession battle? You pull out a St. Ides 211 amount of rushes, 40 rushes. We need 40 rushes for 200 yards, okay? And you're going to have to score points because your defense is probably going to give up 30 points, so you're going to need to score at least 30 points, okay? I talked about the penalties. Penalties absolutely kill the Washington Commanders. They have beat themselves more than other teams have beat them. They're going to need less than 5 penalties in this game. And second to last, Mahomes rushing. You have to have Patrick Mahomes be the Kansas City Chiefs' leading rusher. The Kansas City Chiefs, all 3 games that they have lost this year, Patrick Mahomes was their leading rusher. So if you want to win, make sure Patrick Mahomes is their leading rusher. And last but certainly not least, you're going to have to pray. Pray to the football gods. That's pull over at St. John's on Georgia Avenue on your way to Kansas City and
we got a little light bulb there. A little light bulb going out there.
That's the football god right there. As soon as I said football god, the lights started going. Okay, those are basically the only ways the Washington Commanders can win this game.
Oh, that light said. God said, it's over. All right, so I guess we're going to finish the show like this. All right, we'll go solo and see if the beard can get that light bulb ironed out.
No, the light bulb's not coming back.
Oh, it's done. We're going sun. You're going to look real white when that.
Don't worry. There we go.
Not bad. I should let some natural light come in here one time. But so roadmap all aside now, what you thinking as far as score, prediction, all, listen, all that good stuff?
I want to pick my Washington Commanders. I truly do, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm not a fanboy. I'm a realist.
God really kicked in and was like, let there not be light. Like straight up.
Shout out Amazon. We're gonna need a bulb.
I got an extra one for that soft box here.
Kansas City 34, Washington Commanders 31.
Oh, you got it close though after all that. Okay. Spagnolia is going to give you guys trouble. And I saw this data nugget going around. He's been a part of 8 Super Bowl teams, including 5 with the Chiefs, 1 with my New York Giants, 1 with the Eagles, but he'll never forget his first, 1983 with the Washington Redskins. He's going to be a big difference maker in this game. I don't think the score is going to be as close as you think it is. I think that if Jaden Daniels was playing, I would like that score a lot better. But with Marcus Mariota, who's not a drastic fall off from Jaden, but is a fall off nonetheless, I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs put up back-to-back weeks 30. Yeah, I'm going to go 33 to 23. We'll get a last-minute score by the Commanders to make the score look a little bit more respective to cover that spread. Yep. So I'm going to be taking the Kansas City Chiefs one time. All right, man. Favorite segment before we get up out of here?
That's the human soundboard. I wish I had a human light board right about now. It's rapid fire. The Dallas Cowboys. They are 3-1. They are headed to
the natural light is. I love it.
They are headed to Mile High to face the Denver Broncos, who are 5-2. The Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. Over/under is 50.5. Kickoff is at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic, tell me what you got.
I got the same notion I had last week about the Denver Broncos. Fugazi, okay? Their wins are against the Titans, Bengals, Jets, Giants, and the Philadelphia Eagles, which don't make it sound as good, right? Focus on the first 4 teams. Cowboys right now are in second place in the NFC East, and they're scoring a lot of points, man. 31.7 points per game on the season. That's second to Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. 36 points per game over the last 3 weeks. That's second to Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. Dak Prescott has 16 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions, which kind of shows you that he is, taking more of, I'm trying to avoid a pause here, taking more of the responsibility of his team to go out there and win games, because Daniel Jones has 10 touchdowns to 3 interceptions so far in the season. Dak's having to do a lot more with his defense not being as good as the Indianapolis Colts. That's not to take away anything from Daniel Jones or the Colts, but Dak Prescott been on fire. 3 passing touchdowns in 4 straight games. And George Pickens has been amazing. 4th in the NFL in receiving yards. Just think about that in conjunction with CeeDee Lamb, who's one of the best wide receivers, top 3 in the NFL. George Pickens going for his 4th game in a row with 50 or more yards. I think he gets it. Give me the Dallas Cowboys in this game, and I think they're going to win this one pretty convincing. I think that the Denver Broncos' #1 defense that entered last week against the New York Giants, I honestly think that, it sounded great for New York Giants fans to say, hey, we lost to the #1 defense, and look what we did against the #1 defense. But when you look at those opponents and those offenses, the Bengals without Burrow, the Tennessee Titans who have struggled across the board, the New York Jets who still don't have a victory, I think that defense is a little bit overrated at this particular point in time during the season. So I will pick the Dallas Cowboys to win this one. I think the Dallas Cowboys win this one by 10 points as well, just like how I picked the Chiefs over the Commanders. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in this one, 34-24 over the Denver Broncos.
Listen, sometimes you go down to Chinatown, right? And you take a left-hand turn, pick up some pho, you go into the back room. They got good fakes. Good fakes. Okay? Come home, you get that Gucci bag to the woman. And she doesn't even know. Or she knows and she doesn't care.
Oh, I thought it was going to be, what the fuck is this?
Nope. Good fake. Good fugazi. Denver Broncos 27. Dallas Cowboys 26.
Yeah, that's more what you want than what you truly feel. you hoping for a last ditch, let us in.
Brother L's in the building. Shout out to Brother L. It's been a long time, Brother L. He came back as soon as I heard.
The fuck did you just say?
Listen, the football gods have already struck me. I don't know if the microphone goes out, then I don't know what else to do. Okay, camera goes out, then the Jesus might be a Cowboys fan. Up next, Thursday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-3. Carson Wentz did not get his revenge, but he's going back to Cali to face the Los Angeles Chargers. Not the San Diego Chargers, but formerly known as. They're 4-3. They're 3-point favorites. The over-under in this game is 40, 4.5. Kickoff is at 8:16. Fantastic.
16 is what it is?
8:16.
That's a
Shout out to Amazon with the 8:16 starts. Okay. Listen, over-under in this game, 44.5. Chargers favored by 3. It's going to be a good game. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers, though. Kamani Vidal. Not Vidal Sassoon, but Kamani Vidal. Big game today for the Los Angeles Chargers. And also, they got this new tight end guy over there. I'm going to like it. Authentic looks like he wants to talk about him. Give me the Chargers 27, Minnesota Vikings 20.
I like the score. I'll actually ride with that exact same score. Both of these teams coming in struggling. Vikings 3-3. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games. The Vikings have not won or lost consecutive games all season long. They literally won, lost, won, lost, won. They've gone back and forth the whole entire season there. And considering how they're struggling at quarterback, I don't think Carson Wentz is like a low-level backup, but he's just not getting it done over there. The inconsistent play. I do like how he has been throwing the ball outside of the hashes. He's done a good job there, but throwing the ball over the middle field has definitely been a struggle for him. Chargers started the year on an in-division straight heater, like 3-0 to start the year against teams within your division, and then since they've gone 1-4 with losses to the Giants, Commanders, and the Colts. I don't know what version of that team we're going to get tonight, but I hope we're getting the better version of that team. Ladd McConkey did get it going last week, had a season-high 9 receptions for 67 yards. And the tight end you're talking about is a guy that was on my radar during the draft season, which is Oronde Gadsden out of Syracuse. And he was one of Kyle McCord's biggest targets, and he was a bit of a hybrid wide receiver / tight end. And I talked about this on the Giant Overreaction, that he's plays the game kind of like Darren Waller does. But last week, and shout out to Alex Rodriguez, bro. He hit me up before the game, noticing that I was doing some shifting around with tight ends as far as fantasy goes. And he was like, bro, you should look into Oronde Gadsden. I was like, oh, my son out of Syracuse. He was like, yeah, dude's supposed to have a fucking big game. I was like, bet. So I got him. I ended up dropping Evan Ingram. He had 7 receptions for 164 yards last week and a receiving touchdown. 4th most receiving yards by a rookie tight end in a single game in NFL history. So he's definitely a guy. If you see him in your fantasy league still available and people are sleeping, scoop him up, man. He's definitely a contributor right now. And I think this is a good matchup. You know, I like your 27-20. I was actually going to maybe pick a tie for this game possibly because I feel like both of these teams are struggling. They can score points, but I'll go with that 27-20 score prediction that you got there, and I'll take the Chargers to win this one.
Okay, so I think we're gonna, for the same game parlay, I think we're gonna go over for the point total. I think we both like the over.
What was the point total in that one?
44.5.
Yeah, I like that. The Minnesota Vikings have been scoring some points this year.
Do you have anybody else you want to throw into this parlay?
This is a tough one. I would maybe go rushing touchdown from Justin Herbert.
Oh, that's a bit of a risk there.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here, because I just think that like the goal here for the Vikings defense is going to be, especially in the red zone, shut down guys like Oronde Gadsden. Quentin Johnston, I think, is finally getting back a little bit healthy.
Quentin Johnston, 30-plus receiving yards in 6 of 6 games this year.
I like it. He's people were writing him off, man, and shout out to Geno Smith, he didn't write back, but I like Johnston. I like a rushing touchdown from Justin Herbert in this game as well.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right. Any last words before we get the fam up out of here, man? This was a high energy, lot of laughs, a lot of unpredictability
Shout
during
out
this
to the
show.
football
for
gods.
Sure. the way that the light flickered out, though.
Like we need Opus clips so we can just be like clip, and they'll just clip it for us, because like I was like looking up, I was like, oh.
Hey, ChatGPT is getting there, man. Like there's some capabilities now where you can just be like, hey, go to that Authentic in the Beard show from week 8 and clip out the segment where the light started flickering.
But yeah, make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at TimWalkOnWater2 and at Authentic. We will release the full same game parlay for Thursday Night Football. And once again, we appreciate all the love and all the support from everybody who tunes in and watches us across all the different platforms, YouTube, Twitch, and now broadcasted live from the Beard's Twitter.
Gotta love it, man. Shout out to the Beard. Today was a good vibe, man, and shout out to the family in the chat. It's been an interesting season that has kind of gone, I won't say predictable, but some of these things we kind of foresaw at the beginning of the year. The Giants are competing a little bit better. Washington Commanders are in a spot where, very similar to last year, where it's like if you want to run and you need the run, right now is the time that you need that run. And, I do think that there are a couple of teams bidding for the top of the NFC East, but I don't agree with the sentiment around all of the fan bases that this division is wide open. I think this division is the Eagles to lose it, and we'll see how they perform this week. In a big matchup going up against the New York Giants. But shout out to the gang. We definitely appreciate y'all. Y'all know how we end every show over here. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. And a life without dreams is a life in black and white. Rest in peace, and shout out to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack himself. And that is a wrap. Commanders on Monday night. I might hit you up. I might just pull up on you, man, and watch that game. We'll see how things go. New York Giants, 1 p.m. Sunday. It's going to be an interesting, pivotal, decision-deciding type of week, I feel like. Because if the Dallas Cowboys can't win this week, if the Washington Commanders can't win this week, and the Philadelphia Eagles get their W, Giants can say sayonara to the playoffs, and I think those other two teams can say sayonara to the division. But we shall see, man. Looking forward to it. We got to get to the Beard's crib here and get some lights turned on. We got to get some lights turned on. But shout out to the gang again, man. We definitely appreciate y'all. And we will catch y'all on the next preview show next week. Don't forget to pull up. Tune into the Giant Overreaction on Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we also going to be doing the immediate game recap on Sunday at around 4:20 p.m. Shout out to all my Blazers out there, man. Y'all know what it is. We will catch y'all on the next episode. Y'all be easy. Peace.